landed on one. Take her back up, Jack. Stop.
I'm Ben, I'm the game's art director.
And I'm Andrew, and I dream up silly ideas for people to play on, and he makes them.
My role here is to basically listen to the ideas that these guys have and then try and turn them into something real, because half the time they're quite ridiculous. And then basically sort of going through the process of designing with the designer and then working out how they can be built and how they work, and then when we get into the studio is sort of setting things up, making it all work, and then generally going around and finishing things off with sort of graphics and making them look nice and pretty and ready for the show.
In this particular game here, which is now called Bigfoot, okay, here's my representation of it. We know we've got a conveyor belt, and we know we can get a swimming pool in here, which everybody like. They like the splash, they like the conveyor belt, that's all good. What they also like was our series producer said, we like the fat suits. And so you sit down and scratch your heads, and then you think, well, if you had two big, giant swinging feet and somebody dressed up like a football, then you could just kick them into touch and they'd fall into the swimming pool. So I sit around and mess about and come up with this sort of stuff. Don't know whether it can really work or not. And then I go over to Ben, who then turns it into something absolutely fantastic.
And we have a 3D drawing of the set. Basically, I can move things about and position it within the studio and check that we can fit things in. That's the bit we have to figure out, is how you deconstruct it, pack it away, hide it for most of the show, and then get it back out quickly and get everything into position.
Please, Gary.
This game right here, it's table football for want of another word, which is such an obvious idea. None of us have thought about it until one of the guys on the team was in the pub the other night. Why don't we do giant size that? Well, a bit of engineering later from a very clever man and some clever ball bearings and suddenly we're playing it. It's not the best game in the world, but it's funny and it's very sick thinking once you get spun around a few times.
Left, right.
I think what's helped me is a certain amount of creativity. You need that, but I also like being practical. There's no point in coming up with some ridiculous stuff that just ain't practical.
With our side of things in the art department, start off as just an art department assistant, basically sort of work your way through the art department doing different roles, learn things as you go. In regards to doing games, it's a bit different to set design because you really have to think outside the box.
I'm David Taylor, I'm the series producer of A League of Their Own. The series producer, as you might guess from the title, is responsible for the whole series. So we would have a day producer who will very much concentrate on this script, and I'm kind of responsible for the creative content for the whole series. So I would look at the series and make sure that everything is balanced, that we're not making 8 identical shows. We try and make every show different. We try and push the boundaries. It's not just a panel show, I suppose. So, there's quite big logistical challenges, and we're doing it in a very tight schedule, so it can be quite hectic. Ideas are the only currency that counts in television. That's how you get noticed, is by coming up with a good idea. So we say to everybody on this show, if you've got a good idea, we'll do it, we'll take it. We're not, a good idea stands out, and that makes you stand out. And if you're the person that comes up with something that goes really well, people notice that, they really do. So ideally, we'd give out Patrick's certificate, and if Jamie beats the world...
I'm Sorrel Potter, I'm a production coordinator. One of my main jobs is to get the call sheet out, which includes everyone's call times, their titles and everything, make sure the schedules in the call sheet and everything matches up. Another job that I do is I write all the release forms for the extra contributors and people coming on studio, make sure the fees are correct there, everything's signed, all the other paperwork like fitness to participate, all things like that signed.
I think one of the other hardest things is obviously each series it gets bigger and better, so it's trying to facilitate the editorial team to make sure there is a budget in place so that they can execute those really big challenge ideas, and just assisting them with that really.
Last Welcome back to League Reynolds.
I think if you can get a work experience placement, I mean, we've had people on the show come on at work experience, and then next series they come back as a runner, and we've actually got someone now who's researching for us. So I think it's a really good process to go through, and obviously just try and make a lot of contacts when you're there and speak to people, ask people what do you do, and don't be scared of approaching people to find out what their job role is and what that job role involves.
A good thing for a new person is to watch the credits of the TV show that you like. So if you want to get into panel show, see what production companies make panel shows, and then approach those production companies and say, do you do a work placement scheme? Yeah. Do you have any opportunities where you need people to come in and help out? Because we do quite a lot of run-throughs for new ideas, and we always need, bums in seats, so to speak. Yeah. So that's also a good thing to look out for.
They all come in, look at.
It's all about timing.
It really is, yeah.
So keep trying.
A lot of the time we're already crewed up or we don't need anyone, but if you keep trying, at some point your CV will land on someone's desk at the time where they're like, yes, I need stand-ins right now, I need runners right now, and it just keep going, just keep trying.
Round one, blue team, have a look at this.
I'm Eve, and I'm the costume designer and stylist for League of Their Own. I style Jack as himself at the top of the show because I've looked after Jack for a while, and then I also do all the costume and wardrobe changes and the crazy for the rest of the show. We have a very long day, very busy day. There's always lots of script changes, lots of comedy changes, so the boys will come in and let us know about new things from the night before that we need to prep and get ready for that day. This will have elastic straps on it so that when they're upside down they don't have their top falling back over their heads. Team-wise, wardrobe is normally across it with every department, so we have pre-production meetings with all the games team, we speak to the production guys with regard to budget and location, we deal with hair and makeup in case there's costumes or wigs, we deal with sound to make sure the pouches are waterproof and upside down. Any given moment, at any given time, everything changes. So my motto is always be prepared. I was a brownie. And we just have everything in double sizes, triple sizes. Then we can always deal with whatever challenges comes. We've got sewing machines, we've got irons, we've got lots of glue, lots of spray paint, and it always works out in the end. Everyone thinks you've got to be really creative. I have a really creative team, which is great, but I just think you need to be very organised, very logistical, on time, and don't go crazy and not a drama queen. You just got to roll with punches and say, yeah, we can do that, and then deal with it afterwards. Lots of my team have gone and done costume design, fashion design. They're all really great, but I think if you want practical experience, there's nothing that beats that. And as much as having a fantastic CV and having a degree are great, and I have all of those and so do my team, other people don't, and you only are as good as your last job. I have people who friends of friends of friends who are still with me 7 years later just because they're amazing and they've learnt their skills along the way or do night courses and have picked things up along the way. So I just think as long as you're keen and enthusiastic and willing to work hard and love it, then that's great.
So they're going to come on for their spot on the... My name's Richard Van Reeds and I'm the director of A League of Their Own. So you have to go with the flow very much in a show like this. Even though there is a script, and it is heavily scripted, quite often things can sort of change because you just need to let it go. It is comedy, it is entertainment. So if you say, oh no, stop, can we do that again? You can't. We don't retake anything because you just got to capture the moment.
A little treat for the ladies. Here's Brian, bare-chested.
The best way to describe how the director works on League of Their Own is that you have to just listen a lot and follow what's going on. Because it is heavily driven by the script and by laughs and by gags. You've got to fit in with the team, with the writers, the execs and the producers, and you've got to go along with what they're doing. At a certain point you'll say, we really can't do that because of this, and things can be adjusted. But first you've got to be focused on what's the end result of the show, which is to make an entertaining and a funny show. For the header. To get into television directing, you can go and do courses at universities and that sort of stuff, and they will give you a good indication of how it works. So I would always say to everyone still, do a course, but actually while you're doing a course, try and get a runner's job as well. So if you can start at the bottom, getting to know what the jobs that people do is really important, so you understand what they've got to do, because when you get to the point of becoming a director, you've got to make decisions based on how long something will take or what can and can't be done. So you've got to be able to work in a team environment. You've got to get to know people really well, get to know how they do their job really well, and you've got to be a good communicator.
My name is Mark Harrison and I'm the floor manager. The director sort of decides how everything looks, the producer decides everything that needs to be sort of done, and then I obviously try and put that together underneath. So I'm essentially sort of their first lieutenant, basically.
So, door up, they're holding a pose.
Every element in the day obviously involves a lot of different people who all need different things. Makeup, wardrobe, the producers upstairs, the runners, everybody has a job that needs to be done. I just need to know when and how it needs to be done, and then I can sort of make sure that it or oversee that it has happened, essentially. And so it's really just on a job like this, which has so many different elements to it, it's just really keeping across everything at the same time. That's the tough bit.
Welcome back to League of Their Own on Sky One XD.
In terms of getting into floor management, I think your job entails knowing what everybody else does. So the system that exists already in television of becoming a runner and then working out from there where you want to go and what people do works really well for floor managing, because actually you're already starting at the bottom, understanding exactly what everybody does, what everybody's job is, what people need, the stresses and strains that they all work under, and you see that right from the beginning. And then as you sort of go up sort of through the chain, you can sort of take on board whether or not you're the sort of person that's happy to listen to everybody else's issues and try and make those happen. The most fun for me is obviously when the show starts. The day is quite hectic and full on because you're just trying to make sure that when the show starts, everything has been looked at and everything is ready to go. Once the show starts and the audience are in and everyone's laughing and everyone's enjoying themselves and it goes well, then you can sort of relax and think, okay, that's a good job, well done.
15 in 12 seconds.